Forget with the self-wide rules.
Okay,
Yeah.
September Community Board One landmarks meeting. And we have this 361 Broadway project. Tickets Quasar. My name is Jason Friedman and we have Vicky Cameron and the rest of our crew here. So let's go.
Should I go over there?
Welcome. Yeah, wherever you want. First is 361, I mean, is 361 Broadway.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the,
Al, will you advance the screen for us?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Erin Ruley, Higgins Quasar and Partners, Preservation Consultants for this project at 361 Broadway. I'm joined by Zach Bernstein of Free Frank, who's Land Use Council, Sarah Sherm, my colleague at HQ, and Exusha Ergamati from Canny, forgive me for that. And so this is an application for a continuing maintenance program for 361 Broadway under section 7542 of the zoning resolution. It is a new tool under the city of Yes. And the building is located on the southwest corner of Broadway Franklin Street, 1881-82. It's one of the more spectacular cast iron buildings, very late commercial cast iron development in the late 19th century. Next slide. So just a little bit about what we're doing here. The application is for this continuing maintenance program under 7542. The intent, of course, is to make with a more flexible approach to transfer of development rights from landmarks. It was instituted under City of Yes, and in order to facilitate construction of new residential buildings.
Oh, I can't stand hearing that line, but please move on.
So the actual landmarks application itself is strictly for the continuing maintenance program. So they're need to approve the continuing maintenance program, make a report to city planning. It is not on the receiving site, and they don't review the aesthetics of that under this this mechanism.
So you have to explain to me, what is a maintenance program and how does that relate to selling of air rights on the street?
it's in the zoning resolution.
Yeah.
It's in the zoning.
But let's get a little bit of an explanation.
Yeah. So it's a mechanism under zoning that allows landmarks, individual landmarks, to transfer their air rights. Okay, and the maintenance agreement is an agreement with landmarks. It gets attached to the property, to the deed. It's in perpetuity, and it requires cyclical assessment, periodic assessment of the conditions. So in this case, every 7 years, they have to assess the conditions of the building and address any conditions that are prevalent on the building itself. So it's a required maintenance program that attaches to the building in perpetuity. So if it's ever sold, it stays with the building. They're always required to continue the work. And it requires a greater level of maintenance and reporting than it would if it were not under a maintenance program.
So,
Oh, well, okay. Why don't you take us through the rest of the slides?
Very good.
Not so many, and you'll give us our.
Yeah.
Erin, can I just take?
Sure.
Just to answer the question more directly. Recording this enhanced maintenance program is a required precondition to being able to sell development rights under the city of Yes.
Will there be an inspection of the building prior to the actual transfer of rights? In other words, before, it goes into the maintenance program, like as an entry.
Yes, that's part of what we're gonna see.
and who does that?
Canny did that under this program. So it's a
We approve of county since we work with county.
qualified professional, architect and engineer.
I just wanted.
Yes.
And the rest.
Yes.
So I'm sorry, we know a lot about this building, okay? So, and obviously we look at this. So you're now only entering into this maintenance program,
Yeah.
right? With the caveat being that, you will get permission to sell the airboats.
Transfer.
Transfer. For this, and then.
And the perpetuity
No, no,
and all that stuff.
Now that, no, transfer, what does that mean? Nobody gives anything, like 10 floors of the building. Transfer.
I'm gonna stop there, just for 1 second. Let's get through the landmark stuff, because now you're gonna ask them free frank questions respectfully. So let's get. through
I'm having a
what
hard
Eric's
time
part.
following.
You're gonna follow it, it's very brief, there's only 16 or 17 pages. Please tell us about where you're gonna zero in and make this building that much better that you
Yeah.
deserve all this transfer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Next slide. So the existing condition of the building, it's in very good condition as a result of a significant restoration and adaptive reuse project that happened between 2008 and 2020. The restoration took place first, and then the adaptive reuse project came forward. The architect of that restoration happens to be sitting over here, Michael Devonshire of Young Reporting Architects. And so if we can go to the next slide. The conditions at the time of the project start, there was a significant deterioration of the cast iron facade. They did an emergency stabilization. As I said, it was JHPA working with old structures. Engineering really kind of did the A team of facade restoration in the city. And the first step was to assess all of the cast iron, remove it, understand the conditions underlying the cast iron. So it was really, really significant restorative program that took place. Next slide. Here you can just see some of the conditions. It's typical corrosion, cracking, swelling, displacement of the cast iron at that time. Next slide. Similar conditions. This is all 2008, 2009. Slide. And then the scope of work. So there was what ended up being extensive cast iron replacement as part of this because of the conditions, and then selected GFRC in specific locations, namely the college roof that were and then with the facade restored in 2012, the adaptive reuse project comes forward for the residential conversion and included this 2-story rooftop addition designed by Shigeru Ban.
I have a question. Absent of this previous approval, if you were to go for the same action, would you be allowed to use GFRC?
I don't know. Because it's 70, this new program, under the previous program, 74-711 and 74-79, there were requirements about not using substitute materials. But there's no preservation purpose attached to 7542 the way that the other programs had it. So I don't know the answer to that. And there was a technical reason why they were using GFRC in terms of bridging the old and new fabric. And I can't really opine on that, but I don't know the answer. And so this brings us to the existing condition today. Hanny mobilized a team in August. They had 5 drops, right?
Yeah, on the street.
On the street. And got hands-on inspection of the facade. This is a conjunction of both local law 11, the FISP.
This is applicable here, correct?
It is because of the addition, yeah.
The 7-story.
Yeah, and so this, and then also taking it to this higher level of maintenance and aesthetic considerations that landmarks will want to be informed about. And so, next slide. And so what we're going to look at here are the typical conditions, or this kind of the extent of what would be reported on every 7 years as part of this process. Here we have the cast iron is now 12 years old. So there is corrosion apparent, that would be scraped, primed, and repainted. Everything was subject to historic finishes analysis, so the finishes would all match the historic prescription. This is an assembled facade. There are fasteners missing, so all of that will be addressed as part of this. So making sure everything is secure on the building. Next slide. let's see. The, areas of, section loss and cast iron, spalling will be addressed through cast iron induction. And there, all of the locations would then also be straight front and, painted to match the historic side. In the areas where there's GFRC, any conditions there, it would be treated, it's a masonry product, so dealing with the cracks in the masonry and then, re-coating to match the historic. And in areas around the perimeter of the windows, the current condition, the windows are in very good condition, but there's perimeter sealant that's missing. So at this time, these are the sort of prevailing conditions and they'll be addressed. But this is sort of the typical envelope assessment that would happen under the program going forward. Next slide.
But there's no missing ornamentation on any capitals, or there's none to be found, dentils, whatever, shelves in this, no?
Yeah.
As of today, there isn't,
There are, a few, missing butai,
okay? What's that?
like a dental.
Okay,
But,
is it like 10 feet wide or more like 500?
like that.
I'm just an expert at everything.
And there's, I believe, one missing ornament at a rosette on the entablature.
That'll be reinstated,
It's not in the current scope of work to reinstall those.
would that not be,
Why not?
But, I mean, landmarks may require it if it.
We would like it.
all right, okay, now, keep going with your presentation if there's more
So,
stuff.
and so
Oh, I see, this is the list.
the list, so essentially covering the, again, this is slightly outdated, but it should be all metal and masonry portions of the building and looking at all of the, foundations, mortar joints, lintels, stones, parapets, core length, windows and door openings, caulking as necessary, all of the, any details that, remain. And the, windows and doors and skylights, ground floor infill, both the finishes and the infill itself, and then the structural integrity of the building. And so that is the scope of work that would come under the maintenance program going forward.
When it was developed, you guys did all new, like, those sidewalk vaults and their granite sidewalks there now and all that work was done then?
There's actually,
Vault lights?
Yes.
Any vault
there's
lights?
all new wall lights on Franklin, all new, some restored and some replacement granite pavers all around the building. On Broadway, the vault lights are covered in diamond plate, but the vault lights remain under the existing diamond plate.
Okay, what else? 15. Oh, let's get through it,
That's it.
please. Okay, yeah, that's it. You can go. You're like one of those horses in the, bing, let's go, Vicky. Have it go.
Well, I said that I still didn't understand the purpose of this because I'm not an expert at this, so. Did you explain to me how this, maintenance plan sale, this whole issue comes about and how does that relate, right? We're here tonight.
The new zoning tool is similar to the old zoning tool, but has been liberalized under City of Yes. So,
I read this whole thing.
so in order, as I said earlier, in order to transfer across the street rather than just next to you, which you can do as of right, a continuing maintenance agreement is required. So this building has 26,000 square feet of development rights that it didn't use in its overbuild. And so it is looking for the opportunity to transfer those. The transfer site, which will come to you in a few months, most likely, or come to your land use committee, is this vacant lot directly across the street.
When you say transfer, you really mean sell.
I mean, it could be, that's.
They don't have to sell, it's part of the fee. They can be
But
a
a
partner.
what fee?
They can be a partner.
Right. I mean,
That's not really,
They
they can be a partner, a fee partner of the thing.
So they're
On the
frankly,
record.
So this co-op condo,
which it is it not a code?
would, let's say, it doesn't matter, none of that matters to me, so if these air rights are sold, given, transferred, however you want to put them. And so in order for you to be able to do this deal, this owner has to sign into a maintenance program. What is that? I understand everything about maintenance, meaning that in order for you to get this benefit, to get this money, most likely, that money has to be spent on maintaining this building. Is that what the maintenance plan is?
No, I mean, it's not, there's not a direct correlation. The maintenance plan is signing up for an enhanced level of maintenance and reporting to the Landmarks Commission. So it's an affirmative obligation to inspect every 7 years, give that inspection report to the Landmarks Commission, and make the improvements that are identified in the inspection report. Could be with the money from the sale, or if you already had money in your budget, it could be with that money. So the money is a side note. The money may be.
For the life of me, I don't understand how we sell it.
Okay, the Landmarks Commission writes a letter, let's call it, or a ticket, and you get that ticket and you can take it to CPC and it endorses this transfer. So let me follow up with a couple questions on that transfer. Is that property then subject to like some sort of a, what do they call it, like statement of whatever,
Jody's,
yeah, that stuff, all that,
it is not under
it
this
is
mechanism.
not. So what is it subject to at CPC? Like, what will it be? Okay, I get it, we're gonna say, great job, and you're gonna enter into this contract, and then the restricted deck and all that, and you go to CPC with that, and what will we be weighing there?
So there are two ways one can do a transfer. One can take the transfer, in this case, it's 25,000 square feet, and you can choose to fit them within the zoning that you already have. The height that's allowed under zoning and not get any changes to the zoning. So
No, we understand that. We need to know is there a part of this process that there's a study done by architects thoroughly that investigates the impact of the bulk in the direct place where there is a study, a statement of findings, a discovery of what the impact will be.
So I'm explaining the two ways. One, someone can buy a transfer in this 25,000 feet and fit it within what zoning allows on their site as of right. And Tribeca, it's a contextual district, so there's a maximum height. In that case, there is no study.
We understand.
Yes,
We're talking about the empty lot.
In the second,
That's what,
in the second,
No, we
Yeah,
don't.
that part is, we don't care. Yeah,
in the second case, one who is using this 25,000 square feet can opt to request waivers of the zoning rules of up to a 25% increase in height. And if someone is requesting that waiver for up to 25% increase in height, then there's an application and findings by the City Planning Commission as to how the design fits within the neighborhood.
so that will come
That will come.
in relationship to the bulk.
And in this case, this site across the street is requesting the 25% increase, which is about 4 stories, 5 stories, give or take. And we'll need to make those findings and have that discussion.
Are the findings, okay, so it's just a bulk waiver are they gonna seek other waivers with the setbacks or that's up for discussion? They can waive anything except floor area, similar to the old?
It can waive height and setback within a limitation of a 25% increase.
That's its own cap, it's 25% limit of height, and then you have to conform, or you don't have to conform, and you can seek waiver.
There are a few different elements of the building application that will come in a few months that makes the case that it's a superior design as a result of the waivers. It's not filling up the whole form, it's pushing here, it's pulling there.
Are you getting kind of a better flavor?
I have no idea why these people are doing all of this, other than if someone tells them it's a financial gain.
Well, there is.
This is,
Gentlemen,
so there's no, as part of this maintenance agreement, commitment, there's no requirement to commit or to fund the actual.
So that would make.
it's restricted declaration on the property, so it's not to do it.
Typically has requirements for funding for either a set aside fund or showing that a building has reserves. There is a financial element.
But for what duration?
Forever.
For what? First class, forever, and it has to remain in first class condition, forever, ever and ever.
And recorded with the deed.
Every 7
That's-
years they
that's
check.
practice. It records to the deed. So it has to look just as good as it looks today, if not a little bit better, and forever. If lightning strikes it, gotta be fixed by the next turnover, next, reporting period.
But, it's 25,000, 26,000 square feet, don't have any good value, so let's say, they sell it, they get $10 million. I'd probably spend $1 million still on this building.
I don't, this is not, I'm not an expert in that. That sounds like out of my thing. Money? No, I don't know. I don't know the answer to the money questions, and I have a very tight schedule tonight. I'm not trying to make you upset. Let's go around the table. You spoke, I want everyone to speak once. That's what I want.
Go on, girl.
Yeah, no,
You can go after. I want everyone to speak. I don't understand. This is not.
My question more is about the development site. I really want to know what they're doing with what you plan, what we would like to transfer to them. And also on the development site, the receptor site, I know that the original site, whatever they were doing, caused all these buildings around them to get damaged to the point that they had to be demolished. So, who currently?
I don't know that.
Yes,
they do.
they were all, the surrounding, the original site here, all around, these buildings were damaged. Because of the
So this-
subsurface
This,
condition.
this site is now owned by a new owner
Yeah,
who purchased the property from a series of people who had done the work that you're
right,
talking
the
about.
original people, whatever happened.
And this, and have agreements with the condominium directly next door and are doing restorative work right now on that building wall from the work that came before.
Okay, so is there a reason why are they not here today so that we would all be able to make sense as to what this is? That's what you said. It's not-
That's what we all say, but
They're doing it piecemeal.
It's not so much that we're doing it piecemeal, it's that the application before landmarks doesn't consider the new building. And so,
And it is a precondition.
and it's a precondition
Zoning.
to go forward with the zoning application. So it's a sequential application process. And just to explain a little bit about sort of the history of TDRs with landmarks is that part of the obvious benefit is that the building is maintained in perpetuity to a level that isn't comparable to other landmarks, and that is a really significant benefit. And in the future, also limits what can be done on the building. Obviously, they don't have air rights, residual air rights. But the mechanism of transferring development rights started because there were beliefs that having an individual landmark was considered a taking because you could never avail yourself of any of the floor area that you had available to you on your site, and you had nowhere to be able to sell it to. So they increased the area. This is under 74-711 and 74-79, the mechanisms that allowed you to transfer across the street to be able to give benefit to the landmark, make use of the air rights that you couldn't use otherwise, and sell them and preserve the building in the as part of that. And I think that that's part of the transaction that you're trying to understand is that by transferring the air rights, the requirement for landmarks is that that building needs to be preserved forever. It needs to rise to a certain level, and that's landmarks requirement in order to provide that benefit of transferring your air rights off the site. And so it's a balancing act, and it puts the burden on the building in the future to do that, but it's for the benefit of being able to relocate the air rights. Yes.
No, I understand that. And I also understand that you have put so much investment and made this, your building to so beautiful that you would probably be maintaining it to a certain standard anyway. All the owners would want that.
Yeah.
But I guess my concern is about, I just want to know how the 25,000 square feet of air rights are going to be used. That's,
I wanted that too. Jared wants to say something else. He raised his hand.
So what happens? What happens if, what happens if it's not what ten?
Which says,
What happens if it's not maintained the way it's supposed to be
Perpetuity.
without this?
I know.
violation.
Landmarks can issue violations and impose fines on the building.
Very
And
small
it's-
violations.
No, there's substantial fines for it.
I mean, it just, yeah, not to reinvent one of them, it's just surprisingly later from one who's not, can trust someone in some fashion.
But it's,
Interesting.
it's for the air rights and in a
Or
if-
portion of it.
portion of it. Well, and if this were a different kind of building, that might be more feasible. If it were a church or an institutional building where there's no, the intent is the mission of the institution and the building is going to come second. Here, I think this is a condo building. There's monthly assessments. There's, it's an asset, that I think,
Which can get mismanaged. over
yeah,
time.
it absolutely can, right?
Anybody else want to speak at the table? I'm gonna make a comment and see. Okay, so my comment is, I just feel like it's not being done in the spirit of the zoning resolution. To take a building, which has already been restored to its highest level, in my opinion, and then, take more juice out of it and put it across the street. It just doesn't seem like what TDRs were meant to be, and it seems like a mashup of, when people used to use 74-711 to overcome certain like terrible zoning resolutions like sliver law, but what you had to give back to get in front of a guy like Michael and get this thing passed, it was extraordinary. And now, it's almost like all of those projects that I was involved in, it's like, what did we all work so hard to get like squeezed like 20 square feet of a building overbuilt? When this has been completely done, it's really poor timing, and I think that our neighborhood isn't looking for more bulk along this corridor. So it just also doesn't serve our neighborhood well when we will examine the extra bulk ramifications. So I'm just, that's a precursor to what I'm sure you'll hear at the zoning thing. And I think you would have had a better shot with me personally if this building was not already brought up as well as it was.
what would you propose for them to do in order for this to be an acceptable as can?
I would say, I don't, I personally, I just don't see enough here to like give someone the reason to transfer that type of bulk. For me, it's my own, I don't know, Vicky might like it or Jared might love it, but I look at this picture and this looks beautiful.
But isn't
So what
that-
are we getting?
But
What is the community getting out of this development site now?
I don't know, I feel it's parceled out, so I don't have a whole picture. I don't know what that other site's gonna be that we're giving them to do. I have
They're
no
gonna try
idea.
to make it contextual.
That's correct,
And
but I wanna know all that.
But I think I think you mentioned,
I don't take people on their word anymore.
but it's the.
You know, Netta, I'm very suspicious.
I mean, the sequence is all being done correctly,
It's-
right? And I just think that,
It's done that way.
I don't know. I walked down the street, the building was made an individual landmark. It got a hugely public, topping to it that's already visible and ludicrous to begin with, frankly. And just because of the international stardom of these people, this was done. And now they're trying to cut another little piece off of this beautiful building. And I just don't see the benefit to the community, which is why we're here. It's why we're being asked anything about it. If it wasn't gonna give a benefit to the community above and beyond this maintenance program, then they wouldn't come here. So that's just very much my personal opinion. I don't want to spread that to the rest of the board, and I think that everybody involved is obviously stand-up great firms and does great quality work, and I have no doubt on Jack, any doubt that like if it's initiated, that this thing will, you know, they'll play their part and they'll do all the work. It's also just not a lot of work to paint a building. It just should be done, right? Like, do you see anything on here, like this beautiful picture that looks out of sorts to you, that needs a lot of work? Anybody?
No, but
So but what else are we going to?
Oh, it is about that. Why is it about that?
the point was is that we,
The old resolutions were about taking a dog-s building that you would normally, you could develop the inside of it however you want. As long as you find a way to navigate within the rules of the staff, you can develop a property. But the minute you want to, you know, ask for a favor from the city, a discretionary approval, that's why
I
we're
guess
here.
the
That's why we're
question is,
wasting our time.
what is, how does it diminish this building?
Well, my point was this building was already brought up to first class, so it's like you
Right.
missed your shot. It's like going back and getting a tax rebate for years of work that you did.
Well, the
100 years
argument is that the landmark status should be essentially taken, then the ownership is being deprived of the ability to exploit what it's for.
Yeah, but again, what do we, why is that happening? I mean, that, it's written like that. I understand that's the right, right, yeah, I don't,
They have a right to make money, and there's a law that says that they gotta come before landlords and say, okay, if you want this, you have to do this, and that's what they're doing, coming before us. And they're saying, before we can say what we're gonna do here, we have to get approval that it's okay to transfer the rights. Now, if we wanna get into the law, why do they have a right to buy this, more space to go onto the second street?
It's not.
That's another story, but
we're not, I'm not trying to
what
get
we're
that.
talking about is that they have a right to do what they're doing, and they're asking us, to speak to it, and that's what you're doing. You're
Yeah,
speaking to it.
sure.
But, they still have a right, and the answer why they have a right, and I'm saying it's the law. I didn't like that law. I would have liked the old law, but they have a new law, and they can do this by the rights.
Correct.
Yeah, right, I'm not asking why they're the rights, I'm saying it's not in the spirit of the law.
Okay,
And I'll
well,
end it
here-
at that, okay?
Jason,
I'm for myself,
But what-
myself,
what
you
can
guys
we
talk
do?
about it, yeah.
I would just add that, this is 15 years past restoration, past the completion of restoration. And there are prevailing conditions on the building. There's not a tremendous amount of work to be done now, but the benefit is the continuing maintenance program. And that is a real and substantial thing, because while it is required under FISP, painting isn't. So all of that corrosion that exists now in 15 years, 20 years, that's just going to continue. And there's no requirement to have to maintain that from a landmarks perspective,
Sure,
without the maintenance agreement. And that's just one small example, but
I'm with you, but I think there may be an unspoken requirement in the stratosphere of the multi-millionaire billionaires that they don't want rusty buildings in their neighborhood, and they just pay to paint
They're
it because
gonna
it's
paint.
pennies on the dollar, so you're not gonna find much sympathy.
And that's not the right.
I agree with you that there's not enough benefit to the community.
Good, we'll write it into the resolution then. Next,
No,
yeah,
I do too.
but maybe you don't agree with not allow, are we gonna write a positive resolution? How about that? Can we write a positive?
What is the
resolution?
ask
The ask is to support their application for this maintenance program.
for the transfer and the
No, I
transfer?
mean, it's really for the maintenance
We can't
program.
figure out what we're
Is
trying
it
to
for the
vote on.
maintenance program or the transfer?
maintenance program.
Yeah. So there's no requirement to have a transfer or do a transfer, and I have had applications, for example, St. Patrick's Cathedral got a continuing maintenance plan for its building in anticipation of potentially selling development rights sometime down the road. So we're going to have such, it just so happens, we're sharing with you that there is a potential transfer down the road here, but there doesn't need to be. So this application itself is independent of.
I know, I think for me, personally, that's part of the new problem that we're discovering, where like people are coming in, you may know, with just looking for approval for like a dotted line box that someday they may transfer to this other site, but we don't know what it's gonna look like, if it's red or yellow or blue, because it's technically not part of our purview. And I'm well aware of I'm in the industry of going inside every crevice of making sure everything's done in the most backwards, but, secure way for my client. However, again, it just doesn't seem like It's in the spirit for me. And I'm gonna just ask my little table here, if we're done, are we gonna write a resolution that is in favor of supporting the maintenance program? Or everybody's too bent out of shape about the actual zoning rights, they can't get over it, and therefore we have to write something about it?
Write something honestly that we know that maintenance programs in exchange for a transfer of square footage zoning rights, and we ask
Facts,
yeah, I mean, we're not.
fact-based, okay, good.
And we just ask for the applicant to come back and share with us what they're going to put in the site, and that both is going to be the new building.
We have to render an opinion on this?
I'm sorry, yes, we have to get,
We have to
you guys are
render
gonna go to a public meeting or hearing about this maintenance program. Is it a public hearing or public meeting?
Otherwise.
Public hearing.
And what happens if
They can do whatever the hell they want.
They take our little thing and they throw it like wheel long into the garbage can from the table.
Right.
Instead of reading it. Nothing,
Nothing.
it's just advisory, if you know.
As you know,
Yeah.
it's the mayor
Uh,
goes, we
So
say,
just put your
okay.
feelings into it because that's what it's about. Do
Yeah.
you like what's happening here or not, Jared? Do you think your neighbors like it? That's what you're supposed to do here tonight.
I am ultimately fairly indifferent though.
Okay, so
No.
that's fine. So then if we do a very facts-based resolution, people maybe can just, we could vote it up or down and see if we like it or not. Because it's gonna go to the full board and they're gonna ask us for an explanation.
Tomorrow night.
It's due tomorrow night and people are gonna have questions tomorrow night and we just really need to make it really like, here's how many rights. Can we tell everybody where it's going, most likely? It's most likely going to, so why don't we just kind of lay it out there and we then put it to tomorrow night and we won't have any more discussion about it before it. And you may want to come because there may be questions and I'm sure, I don't have Tammy's official opinion, but you know, there needs to be a little bit of question and answer period. Fine. Maybe I'm making much ado about nothing and nobody cares at all. So maybe, you know, and we'll vote on it. Does that sound good? I mean, can we do that? We even need to vote tonight? I mean, especially considering tomorrow night is the full board meeting and like, I'm not,
Well, we need to make a presentation and
Well,
stuff.
then
right, well, I'm gonna have to do that over kind of email and over the next 8 hours. so.
Yeah.
Or do you want to just take a vote?
Of what?
Yeah, I mean, I would even like, whatever the choice is for me, I would choose that, I don't know. And I'm not trying to be like, at all like, you know, we have this meeting tomorrow here again, we're not gonna put a lot of opinion into it, we'll just do a very facts-based resolution and let's see if people are like, hey, don't care, move on. Is that fair, right? This is also not a great chapter of our 50 people and, okay? You know, it's like a total maybe, and
Can I ask you one more
Yeah.
question?
yeah,
You made reference to the fact that the community doesn't get a whole lot out of this. Is there a way to do better?
I mean, like,
What is it that we want?
you know, like, another kind of project like this that I would have seen in the past would be like, if there was a spire on top of the building and there was some reason to, you know, rebuild it, even though that type of transaction is also frowned upon, like reconstructed. But I can't think of anything, they mentioned that there were some covered up vault lights, grab those back, right? And those are nice and expensive and beautiful.
Yeah.
But I know this building to have been done to like a really nice,
We
you know,
did.
well, walk by it. Oh my God, it's so good.
And they did a really beautiful
So-
job and they're gonna maintain it. No matter
I
what
mean,
people live there, they are gonna maintain it. Not gonna not happen.
I
Okay,
think our fair chair is gonna, and Alice, the other people are gonna wanna say something, so let's give them the opportunity.
I agree.
Keep it nice and succinct for you guys tomorrow night. Yes.
I'd say it's perhaps penalizing owners who do a really nice renovation to a two-story building to say, well, you already did it, so you can't use this tool that allows you to, that's free to all.
But remember, you and I both know the tool was for places like St. Patrick to start. It wasn't for these small condominiums in Tribeca. The tool was for individual landmarks that were really, you know, encumbered by the fact that they were individual and they're crazy looking and you can't just add something on top and it just is not where this whole thing is coming from. TDRs, weren't there like 15 done in the city of in Manhattan before this even happened? These are very rare things and for good reasons, right?
Because the process was very.
Sure.
the decision was made to liberalize.
Right, our community board wasn't as in favor maybe as yours about City of Yes.
One of the neighborhood I live in hated.
There you go. So again, I'm trying to just.
Live on the Upper West Side.
I live in Brooklyn.
Oh,
Okay, final
Just one
comments.
other very small
Yep.
point. The fact that in this case, the receiving site does plan to come in for a discretionary action gives the community board a role in the process that it wouldn't have through the as of right. When I described it, you could do it one way within the existing rule or another way with the additional 25%. Coming to ask for the additional 25% actually starts a conversation about the design of that building, and we will be at your sister committee and some of you going to be on it and before the community board with that actual design. And so that's a positive of this. Without this transfer, it's just an as of right.
That is a great closing statement. I agree with that.
but it was very good.
If you want to make one more statement, it's okay, but I think that was incredibly correct. I agree with that statement. So we'll maybe word that into the thing, okay? And maybe we'll see some of you tomorrow night or not. Okay,
Okay.
great, you're
Thank
invited.
you.
We usually have a little food. It's not very good.
We do our best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Next.
you.
Okay, shoot, let's go. 45 minutes, terrific. One fight.
Not terrible.
No, no.
You used to have
it
3
is.
fights.
This is it.
They took down Bruce and I might be the next one. I might be the next one.
I think it's very important.
First time to
So now, right now, for you, no. I'm not thinking for you, I'm thinking about right now.
Don't.
Never
Okay.
We got in trouble. No, it's
I'm
Susan.
going
We need her. If I'm gone, we need
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So whatever you're
That's
doing
that.
with this, you got a yes.
But that's a good way to start.
Before we get started, we
Yeah.
do have a letter from Jonathan Boulware.
Okay, I think you might have been sent to us.
It
too.
was sent, so I'll leave it, I've got an extra copy for everybody.
Thank
If
you.
you'd like us to read it for the record, we can. If you don't, we don't have to.
No, don't read it.
We're fine.
Yeah, we just attach it as part of the record.
Thanks. Here.
Thanks so much.
Are you having fun on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, did they fire Lucy? Is that what happened?
No, they didn't.
Okay.
She has her own meeting, big time.
Got another. Really went with her.
Good girl.
And also, just for everyone's benefit, there's more actual.
Oh,
Great.
it's gonna be red. Oh, okay.
Fabulous.
Okay.
Just want to quickly introduce the team. Rob Wilson, Martina Caruso, Megan Weatherby from the South Street Seaport Museum, Michael Devonshire, and I are both from Young Berkeley Associates. We're the architects working on the project. Just to give you a very brief overview on the history of the lighthouse, for those of you that aren't familiar with it, it was never meant to be a lighthouse. When they built the Siemens Church Institute, it was meant to be a beacon that had green lights in the top, and it was meant to draw wayward sailors into an area of refuge. So basically, right from day one, the intent of this project was, this structure was for wayfinding. And
Edward,
what's that?
Edward.
Yes, for safety. Um,
Oh, yeah.
while it was in the middle of construction is when the Titanic sank. And what was interesting about it, they were also severely under budget at that point in time. So as a mechanism to get some donations for the project, they decided to memorialize the structure as a memorial. And because of the way it looked over time, it became a reputation of being a lighthouse, even though when it was built, they actually went to great lengths to make sure that the lights could never be confused as a lighthouse. So into 1968, the Siemens Church Institute is demolished. This monument, there was an urge to preserve it. The seaport comes into that. They take the structure, they don't really have a place for it. It ends up sitting on Pier 17, or 16, sorry,
60.
for a number of years. And then in 1975, with a donation from Exxon Corporation, it was mounted atop a rather simple concrete base, which is the structure you see today. It is worth mentioning that from the second it went on that base, there was signage on. There was signage advertising events at the seaport. For a number of years, there was actually a ticket concession mounted to the side of it. It was, the intention why it was placed there was to be a navigational aid. Instead of bringing wayward sailors into the Siemens Church Institute, it was now to bring visitors into the South Street Seaport Museum. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rob, who will lead you through the presentation.
Hi, my name's Rob. I am the art director and operations manager of Bauman Company, which is a 19th century print shop at the
That's
Seaport
where I
Museum.
get my cards.
Yes,
Love
I also teach graphic design and type design at Pace University.
Yeah.
So I'm really here to walk you through the kind of appropriateness of the typographic treatments of our kind of proposed signage. So walking through these first couple of slides, if you go back to slide number 3, the first of the images. When we do project at the museum, we really kind of take a history first methodology, where we kind of look at, what did things look like around 1913? And if you look at some of these buildings here, one design methodology of early signage was to take up as much physical space as you could. So you always have kind of a band of color with kind of type applied to it. Different than what we kind of think of modern branding today, where you say, this is our brand, we use one typeface. The 19th century was a menagerie of typefaces. Can you go to the next slide? So if you kind of look here, it's a combination of serif, of sans serif, of kind of colorful backgrounds, kind of type applied directly onto brick buildings, directly onto a surface. Painted signage was one of the most kind of common techniques. Can you go to our next slide? And looking kind of out first at the seaport, where we kind of see site-specific institutions, and looking kind of greater through New York City, we see the same idea of kind of type, again, taking up as much physical space as possible, often in a band within the floor of a building, often within kind of either directly onto the brick or within a colored background. You go one more slide for me. You can start to see kind of, every physical surface used to be covered, and that's different than the seaport now. You can see examples of this if you look at the Meyer Salt Company and the Bar Fresh Salts on Beekman Street, where you get to see like every physical surface it was possible of putting type got applied to it. And go one last slide. Doing research of this type is difficult with photography only, because right around the turn of the 20th century was when you started seeing the invention of photography. So we also included some illustrations. And from these illustrations, again, you can start to see, I'll sound like a broken record, kind of type applied as wide as possible within bands on a building. So if you go to the next slide, thinking about things that had been prior approved by landmarks. So if we see this Joseph C. LaRocca, this is next to Fresh Salt. This is actually my least favorite example because the type here is a little bit more hand done than it would have needed to be. Sign painters at the time took incredible care of masking out and using templates of kind of drawing type with tools to make them exact. If you look at the tin building, we see kind of type applied to maybe a non-standard structure, right? This is different than just a brick building, but this is a metal facaded building. And if you look at our A.A. Thompson and Company, this is a custom font that I drew based on an old sign painter thing, kind of looking through a 19th century document to get source material. It was then kind of altered and shifted so that it was appropriate to the length of that sign. But we did a really good job, I think, I'm biased, but of kind of making something that felt both new, but with a kind of historic context. So it's not historicism, right? It's not trying to trick you that this is what used to be there, but it's saying what were the contexts and the decisions made from the original designers and how can we do that, taking in the contemporary context that we have today. So if you look at our next slide, looking a little bit about the history of the lighthouse in general, Kurt mentioned this a little bit, is the base of the lighthouse was really used as multiple versions of exhibition for the museum. At one point, it was covered in letterpress printed broadsides, a modern poster wall of sorts. At one point, it had signage directing you to where the pier was, which ship was where. And if you go one last slide.
When is the left one from that from? What do we say that is? That's a
So if you go-
illustration from what?
This was actually from the Siemens Church Institute dedication in 1968 to the museum. This was the kind of drawing, basically envisioning what it would look like before it would move. Then the last slide shows you kind of a photographic
Oh,
example.
one more slide.
Yeah, forward,
Yeah, there it is.
of kind of what it looked like in actuality. So the next slide is kind of what we're proposing.
Slide.
If you go one.
Okay, yes.
So, actually, this picture that we're using as a mock was slightly outdated. We've started taking down some of the scaffolding. The lantern on top, is kind of finishing its restoration. It does have a black, observation deck, which you can see in the illustration on the right. We're proposing a red band. If you look at kind of a taxonomy of lighthouses, red is a common color. Lighthouses are also often printed in kind of your barber pole aesthetic. So we're thinking of our type as a secondary band of color.
Absolutely, we're up and you can see that alternating red and a black and a white, so the text becomes that one thing.
And then we did a lot of really fun examples of making paper cups of how do you see type. So when you see it from one instance, you see one full piece of information. So the type actually kind of repeats 3 times around the base of the cylinder, so that from every vestige in the seaport, you can see South Street, Seaport Museum, or South Street. If you go one more slide, you can see some specifics of the kind of height of the sign. It's just above eye level, which gives you a nice big open space for this bronze memorial, which is the kind of specific to the Titanic, memorializing it as.
Yeah.
And oriented directly from where the ship, yeah.
Yeah, it paints directly to Southampton, which is where Titanic was constructed.
So you're restoring the top?
So
The
that's
top is basically finished.
Yeah, looks
Yeah.
great.
Oh, because I'm looking at this photo that you included.
It's a little old,
yes.
but there's still scaffolding at the bottom, which is why we don't have a new.
So it's in mint condition as it's shown here, to the right.
Has there been any discussion with, just not like it's necessary or anything, with the people designing the Tim Mill, that HHC or whatever we know them to be, and how it integrates with their signage in any way? You know, just
One of the reasons that we didn't want to do black with white type, so that it wasn't part of what's called Seaport Entertainment.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so that it's distinct from that organization. And again, similarly, kind of like playing with historic type. All of the type that we're using here was redrawn from type in the museum's collection. So it's kind of specific to the museum and specific to the neighborhood. It's distinctly different than the visual language of Seaport Entertainment Group.
Is
Some
there
of
any
our-
lights? I know it's not under our, or is there illumination of this signage?
So inside the lantern, we're replicating, and we did extensive amount of research to get the color of green correct for what was in the original. And we also have a top lighting component that'll light the copper lantern. And then there's down lighting that will light the base as well, and all that is concealed in the maintenance down.
Fabulous.
Cool. And these signs at the bottom, this triple sign?
That is gonna be a triptych sign, and that will ultimately have navigational signage and programming signage that can be rotated.
Yeah, it's offset about 2 feet from that.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a freestyle.
The curiosity is the upper part is going to be accessible or?
Not really. It's a challenge to get up there. It's not really, the hatch is small. And it's not something you'd want to have anybody up there, but you could.
So, but it's not being used for, like, maybe something they can sell in 1 point.
No,
That was a use in it.
One of the, I think the most exciting things about it is this black ball on the spire is a time ball. So originally you would get a radio signal at noon and the ball would raise and drop so that everyone in the harbor could set their watches. And we tested that successfully a couple times.
Yes, and it'll work. It does work.
Yeah.
Do you guys have the rights to restore any other parts of this, or this is like the last vestige of the Seaport Museum's, like, is, you know, like any of these other buildings? I know who's currently doing all the work, but is there any little particle left that you guys have the rights to make nice, or, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, if you haven't been to Thompson Warehouse, you should come by because that just
Okay.
opened in March and that
Oh,
was a.
yeah, that was yours too, but that's it. That's the end of the museum's kind of.
I mean, I think Skirmer Row is the next big,
Great.
the Fulton Street building.
These are things you're doing independent of the other landowners in the area. Great, okay. So, does anybody have anything disparaging to say about this?
Well, no, I have a question. The triptych, that's the gray that's
Yes.
standing in front of it. Is it basically a screen that goes in front?
It is a screen. It's that just a little lower than eye level,
It's not a digital.
like a digital, it is not a digital
No,
screen.
it's, it's,
They're printed.
old
panels.
school.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, no,
not
definitely
digital.
not digital.
Okay, not digital. Good.
and the black that's right underneath it, that's just,
That is the band.
it's the
That's-
band.
there-
of the
There's a
light
base
post.
that steps out at the bottom of that structure that sticks out about an inch. So that was pulling back the banding scheme you traditionally see in the lighthouse.
Got it. And is there a reason that the sign that is now freestanding in front of the lighthouse is not, you're not putting it on the lighthouse itself?
Okay,
You have other signs on it.
that freestanding triptych, we weighed that back and forth quite a bit. Because of the nature of how that's gonna get used for wayfinding and to advertise different events and programs, it had a different hierarchy than the structure itself, so we felt it was important to have that set off a little bit.
Is that part of this, discussion, or you already handled that under the last approval? Do we know?
It was part of the last approval that went to the.
Okay, so we don't even need to tell them anything about it.
Yeah, I think the idea was that the painted signage is more evergreen, whereas the kind of triptych in front would
Yeah.
be the event spin.
Exactly.
So they can be.
This is so delightful, honestly. I can't wait till it's done. When will it be done?
We're hoping by the end of November, early
Great.
December.
Great.
Okay.
No, I just had a couple of comments. So the Titanic Memorial Lighthouse is very small. Have you ever thought about making it a little bit bigger?
It's small on the print.
Yes, that's what I mean.
It looks small, it's large.
Is it?
In
You
reality.
want to tell us
Yeah,
how
you
you
go-
were on or
you go-
something?
Yeah, no, he
It goes
gave it.
like
Okay,
over-
yeah, you gave it.
Yeah.
You gave it here.
I think they're 3 inches tall.
It just seemed like the, the
I guess
advertising.
tall is maybe a
Yeah.
pencil a little bit less than that. That seemed, oh, it says 3 inches tall.
And that's about, when you're standing about 9 feet above you, 8 to 9 feet above.
Okay, I just didn't want it to get drowned out. And that's-
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
I know you're trying to advertise. and
I think one of
you
the design kind of considerations is that if you make too many things the focus, then not one thing becomes the focus.
Mhm.
And really thinking like the lighthouse itself becomes a lighthouse, the plaque becomes supportive of Titanic Memorial. And then really what we're using for this is a welcome to the seaport as a neighborhood.
So
So,
that was my other question, right? Because you said, as you look at it, you say any one view, you're always gonna see museum. Is there any one view that I'm just gonna see South Street Seaport? Because that is my entrance into the
Yeah.
seaport.
and we really think of the neighborhood, like anything that's a cobblestone as museum space. And I know it's maybe,
I know you.
it's maybe aggrandizing a little bit, but.
Okay.
So yes, and so I think that you would see South Street Seaport, and then you might see an M. But you would never see either just museum, it would always be Seaport Museum or South Street
I
Seaport
know
Museum.
you did that on purpose. But those are just my comments.
The seasonal events are just the museum events that it
Yeah.
advertises?
What also is worth mentioning, and there's a detailed drawing of it as well, the bronze memorial plaque. The reason why the plaque that's there is not going back is you're looking at something that better tells the story of the structure and its history and accurately depicts the story of the structure. What's there now doesn't quite achieve that.
Everybody.
The plaque that's there, went in the mid-70s. And we said, yeah, right.
Where was it originally located?
Where was the whole thing located?
Yeah.
On top of the building, Siemens Church.
Yeah.
Which was,
Big building, right there.
yeah, it was on, I think it's probably further down south,
Yeah.
very.
But it no longer exists.
Humongous building. It was just in that small picture, right? We just,
Yeah, it's there.
I don't know that.
we did, or there was in that small photo, this is
Yeah.
the Siemens Church.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. It was a very big building. Okay, call the question second. All in favor of a positive resolution? Okay, yes, 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 yes. Anyone online? We didn't even ask. Great, okay, thanks. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you very much. Good luck.
Are we done? Except for the district needs?
Yes.
Okay, district needs. I work with Joe Lamar. Yeah, yeah. I know, I did some wish.
Even if you want to tell them how you want.
Oh, well, I love that. It's very good.
And it's a brand new person. So I have to send. I would get all my.
So, yeah, no, you're. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I printed that almost probably a year ago.
You're the expert, I'm just gonna download that information. Thank you, nice to see you again.
And I go in there, and I want.
Okay, guys, let's talk about the district meetings.
I'll get on
I think we always have a good, looks like we only have three things here. Expand grant programs. Increase budget for enforcement, hire more inspectors and, okay, increase enforcement. Jerry, didn't you and I come up with one for enforcement of sidewalk vaults, historic sidewalk vaults? That sounds like maintenance. Like, you know, there's all these old sidewalk vaults,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Hollow vaults.
Yeah.
Most of them actually in our neighborhood, like, and they're old as hell.
Yes.
And we, you know, have before, or even when we were here, we've seen these applications, oh my God, my sidewalk's about to cave in, therefore I have to throw all of the storage materials away and
Yeah.
make it out of like,
Sure.
you know, brand new concrete. And
Yeah.
so before someone else falls into one of these things, I feel like, much like with this program, there should be a program for like hollow sidewalk inspections.
I think there should also be incentive to building owners. For
Okay.
ones that are not, I brought this up the last time, that are not viable and not in use, to be converted towards tree pits or otherwise.
Okay, so hold on, Tim, you mean, to turn a vault? into something?
So for example, there's a building on Hudson Street that reached out to me recently.
Okay,
They said, we are gonna have to reconstruct our vault. It is corroded, we know we're gonna have to do it. They think, can you put me in touch with somebody at the Parks Department, so that when we rebuild it, we know that it's disused as it is.
yep,
We'd like to explore putting in some trees, which I know there's some counter feelings about trees in historic neighborhoods that didn't have them.
yeah, well, I actually had experience with that, my building is right on the corner of Beekman and Water.
Right.
And when maybe before Sandy or something crazy, they were doing this program to push trees, and we were like, let's put our hat in the ring,
Yeah.
and we actually got a tree. That tree is now up to like
Yeah.
the third story. Is it a little bit out of place, only because it's like the only tree, because no one else
Right.
like opted in, but it
Right.
certainly adds a very pleasant, you
And
know.
we also
thing.
put another one in on Hudson in an old coal chute that we found.
So is it to say that we should kind of
At the time,
forget about these old time thought of trees in historic districts didn't exist, therefore we shouldn't put them?
I personally think it's not relevant to contemporary world.
Okay,
You know?
okay,
Um, I personally, don't think so. But I think at the point at which buildings are reconstructing their vaults, there should be some sort of incentive program.
okay, vault reconstruction incentive program.
Or similar to what the incentive is for the guy to wear trans,
Yeah,
I don't.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we know if the work has to be done, why wouldn't the city offer some sort of tax credit? or-
especially since it's really an unsafe.
But
It is.
It's really unsafe.
You talked about cobblestones too, I thought.
Okay, so
Yes,
what do we say about those? We need continuing maintenance programs, because like they're terrible.
Yes, or
Cobblestone,
maybe expanding the maintenance to do the other things.
Well, but the cobblestone really making them.
they suffer from this in and out, they do construction, the guy comes
You
back.
know, when-
Our neighborhood was gorgeous, the
And
day I
then,
moved in,
and then,
full board,
and then they had to rip it up,
Yeah.
and then they.
every time.
Like on Best Street, the city spent $4 million
Your
through one
neighborhood
block.
like that too. I know.
And then they tore it up to put in congestion pricing infrastructure. This is what we do, which does
Right.
not really exist. A comprehensive inspection program with LPC and DOT ensuring.
Road bed
post-
inspection?
Well, post-construction remediation.
Oh,
Because you should have seen this, they tore it up for congestion pricing infrastructure and somebody just slabbed on cement down there and within weeks, it hadn't set properly, it's
Right.
cracked already.
That's exactly,
DOT,
so what happens, it's like Con Edison water, you know.
Yeah, they
put
put
that
that
up,
up and
and
then
then
nobody
they
comes
don't
back and then they
put it
say,
in
it's not my
properly.
thing, it's not my jurisdiction, it's not my jurisdiction.
There's no program in place.
I
Okay,
think,
wrote that That's about road-
transportation committee is doing it or was thinking about doing a study like that.
Those are the areas, because frankly, like, LPC is exhausted with the programs they already have for like
Sure.
facade and general
Yeah.
building. So we should try to grab other,
Yeah.
you know, areas.
What about,
And then,
how much effort, I always think about this in this context of this group as well. How much time and effort is spent in really identifying it, prospective expansions of the historic district, prospective, you know,
okay,
without,
not much.
Right.
And I'm gonna give you an example of something that after I finish this example, I'm gonna work on Susan's awful thing they did to the Wall Street building. But if you can imagine, the post office on Church Street
oh,
is not a landmark, individual landmark.
it's a national.
That's fine, but if you go to DOB and you go to their website and you say, put in the address, and you say, it says, is this a landmark? Yeah, sure, not the one up by North Tribeca, the.
Yeah, sure.
Which lobby should be.
Yeah.
So I'm proposing, I'm gonna work on that with Alice's kind of tutorage and put together an application, which I hope everybody in the
Right.
committee would back, to make that a landmark and
Can-
expand.
Can we see if the Canal
Oh,
Street
yeah,
Church
that's
one is
where- that's
also?
Well, I've done that. I can share with you, it may have been before, right before you
sure.
got here, Alice and I found 6 or 7 buildings. Or, you know, instead of expansion of district, that's harder,
Right.
but buildings. And the top one of the crew was definitely this federal building, but we had that, and there's a Beaux-Art building on Canal that you know, which you said, I'll share that with you.
The post office is currently.
Yeah, it's
A mural,
I
a
know.
mural of graffiti, which is.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's all,
It's complete-
terracotta
And that
ceramic.
terracotta is completely covered with.
Yeah.
graffiti.
Yeah.
It's all for the-
So expanding that,
The thing that was making me think of it, and I don't personally have a real issue with it, but
Yeah.
the buildings that are being torn down on West Broadway and Warren at the moment, to me, as a casual observer, appear no different than a lot of the buildings that are protected.
Yeah, except the district boundary is the district boundary,
Well-
and, you know, you can expand that, and we're fortunate to have things called the Tribeca North, East, these are all boundaries that were
Right.
expanded, the TMU, which was something to do, not zoning wise, that
I just
kind of
wonder if
protected
there's more of that sort of, I don't want to say
Yeah.
hanging fruit, but.
You know what, yes is the answer, if you wouldn't mind, I'm gonna try this one,
Sure.
and let's see if we like get it, it'll boost everybody's
There you
like
go.
thing, and then we'll go forward, I think
Okay.
that's
I
probably
think
our
the
best bet.
strategy is good to focus.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Alice wants to do it, and we'll take it up next month,
Yeah.
maybe by next month I can put together a little PowerPoint and like, you could just, like,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
no brainer, I mean, and that's a real, that's a good thing to give back to our community, make that an individual landmark. Okay, can we call the question? I'm gonna
Yeah.
take these notes and turn them into something,
Second,
okay,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna close the meeting. Is it closed?
That's it?
Yeah, that's it.
Jason, you're gonna do that fact